Okay, we want to welcome everyone this evening to the Dapper Dan website and the introduction to our 72nd annual Dapper Dan Sports Banquet that's going to be held this Sunday at the Allegan Shrine Club in Cumberland. It is featuring, and our top award winner is four-time award winner Ty Johnson, who we have via satellite from Frisco, Texas. So we do have him with us this evening. So we get a chance to kind of have a round table. And with that, we have here tonight at the studio, at the Allegheny Media Studio, myself, Adam Sterne with the Dapper Dan. We have Ray Haines, which is Ty's Little League, Dapper Dan Little League coach, and head football coach at Fort Hill High School, Todd Appel. So Todd and Ray, I want to thank you two for coming tonight, taking time out to get a chance just to talk to Ty and do kind of a round table. It's kind of a night that we don't really get a chance at the dinner, and unfortunately Ty can't make it in because he is training, and it's why he is in Frisco, Texas, but gets us an opportunity just to speak to him, get to talk a little bit, things that some people might want to hear, and some good stories and stuff. So that's kind of where we based it tonight. So Ty, want to welcome you in. Thanks again for taking time out of your training session to find time to be able to speak to us this evening, and hopefully we can work something out so that we can feed you in on Sunday to accept the award. So we're looking forward to Sunday's event. We do know the good thing about the Dapper Dan dinner this year is it is streamlined. The dinner part went away, so we are picking up an hour right out of the gate. So hopefully we'll get people out of there because we know it's such a long night. Last year we were 46 awards. It was 5.5 hours, and it's a great night, but it was a very long night, and that's what everybody said. You hate to take away from anything, but we had to do some streamlining. So we thought that this would be a good way to get out there ahead of time to give our appreciation for everybody that's done stuff, and kind of for Ty for giving him a chance to thank two people here in the studio that's meant a lot to him. So Ty, again, thank you, and just want to welcome you into the live feed.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I appreciate us being able to do something like this, and I'm just glad to be a part of this.
Absolutely. So starting off, we talked about some things that we just kind of bullet points, and then we'll just chit-chat after that. But we just talked about your start in the Dapper Dan Little League and your experience. Ray, that's where I'm going to let you kind of take the lead here. As we had talked about earlier, I knew Ty as Ty Mance when he was in Little League, and he came up through in our system, so that's how I noticed him. A lot of times I know people by paper because I see their names and see them drafted and get opportunities. I did get a chance to meet Ty when he was on Ray's team, and to see him play. And then we had talked about just about how athletic and quick this kid was, and back at age 10, 11, and 12. So.
Yeah, well, first of all, Adam, thanks to you and the Dapper Dan for having me to be a part of this. Also, I think it's going to be a good night because I'm sitting here with people that are friends. You, Todd, Ty. So I think we'll have some good, entertaining topics to talk about, like we did the last 45 minutes before we came on. And also for some things that a lot of people don't know about Ty. They know Ty, the football player, and there's so much more to Ty than he's number 31 for the Detroit Lions. So I'm hoping tonight we can hit on some of those things and tell some stories that a lot of people don't know, especially people knew Ty. When you play for Fort Hill football and you're a star at Fort Hill, a lot of people know who you are and they know some things. But when you're a 10, 11, 12-year-old kid in the Dapper Dan, not a lot of people know those stories. So it was good once I got in contact with Adam and the Dapper Dan to think back on a lot of stories and a lot of time. I was actually lucky enough to I followed Ty through the Dapper Dan into Hot Stove. So I had the great opportunity to coach for Ty for 6 years. So, of course, most of it tonight is about the Dapper Dan, but once again, I want to thank everybody for having me. Ty, one thing we talked about before, I don't know if you know this part. I actually drafted you in the second round in 2008.
I want to know who you drafted in the first round.
I can't remember off the number, but there was a reason for that, and the reason being was Ty didn't play when he was 9 years old in the minor leagues. So when we get our draft paper, I see his name on there, and a lot of, I wasn't into the football at that level at that point, but, you hear things, things. And also I have to give a shout out to Coach Gary Laguerre, because he was one of my assistant coaches at the time. And, of course, he coached Ty for the Cumberland Pee Wee Saints. So, and I coached Gary's kids before Ty came along. So that's where part of that connection came from. And, I remember sitting at the draft with Gary, and Gary kept pointing at Ty's name. Ty, which, of course, we had talked about before. But that was definitely something that we were looking forward to getting him on our Cardinal baseball team. So, of course, a lot of that was based off his speed and athleticism, because he didn't play when he was 9. But anybody that knows me back from the Dapper Dan days, I always like to have speed on my team. Something, of course, you can't teach. Todd, you're well aware of. You can help, but with a lot of the things you do at your level. But that's just something you can't teach. One thing that always stuck out to me about Ty, one of the very first times that I remember meeting him at Al Abrams Field. The kids that are around the Dapper Dan at that age or have played through the Dapper Dan know you get to pick your number. You tell your coach what number you want to be, and I remember Ty telling me he wanted to be number 42. So of course, when somebody tells me they want a certain number, I always ask the question why. And
Jackie Robinson.
Yes, Ty at age 10 years old had a bigger picture than just of himself. It was he wanted to be number 42 because that was Jackie Robinson's number. You don't get that for many kids at any age, let alone 10 years old. So that always stuck out to me. That's something Ty and I've actually talked about. Ty he can tell you usually every year in March or April when they do the Ty or the Jackie Robinson Day on the major leagues. Ty, you can vouch
for you too.
Yeah, Ty can vouch for me. He usually gets a text from me that day, reminding him
every single year.
Yeah, reminding him about the story, because that's one thing I always remember about. So, it just, like I said, it just speaks wonders. And even to, as I said when we were getting started, about there's more to Ty than just the football player. Even at the baseball level, he knew the bigger picture than I just want to be number 2 because it's cool, or he knew what the big picture on things. So this was the part that Ty, I told you I might embarrass you a little bit, but as I said, this is the hopefully there's some Dapper Dan kids listening in at some point in this that can maybe hear this part of your story and realize that it wasn't all easy for you. You just didn't wake up one day and you're in the Detroit Lions. When Ty was 10, he actually looked back at it. I have in my basement, I actually have all my scorebooks. I went back and looked at my scorebooks this week when I knew we were doing this. Ty, he batted 24 times his 10-year-old year. And believe it or not, he struck out 21 of them. He had 2 hits. So,
oh man.
But
it's tough.
The reason I tell that story is not to embarrass Ty or anything. Like I said, it's to show that the kids that are listening that may struggle at an early age, it's okay. You learn a lot from failure, and there's no testimony without a test. And people think they see somebody playing at the level Ty plays at now, and that it's all easy, and it's not. But to speak to the reason, or one of the reasons why Ty has made it to the level he is, when he was 10, as I said, struck out almost every time he batted. When he was 12 years old, and I've told many people this, even in 2010 when this happened, he was the best player in the league when he was 12. So he took that step. He worked at the game, and he went from only getting 2 hits and striking out almost every time up when he was 10 to when he was 12. He actually, in my 13 years as a manager in the Dapper Dan, he had the highest batting average I've ever had. He had a 561 batting average when he was 12. So, and that's not even counting the walks and all the other times he got on base. He had that many hits. I think it was 20 some hits his 12-year-old year. So, I mean, that just tells you, it speaks to the person and the work ethic that Ty has, that, you know, he went from in 2 years, somebody that struggled, but he struggled for a reason. And I mentioned this in a little talk before we came live. Ty, when he swung, is because he swung in front of everything. He couldn't wait for the pitch. So, you know, that's why he struggled so much at that level. But as he got used to the pitching and to the level of play, it really showed in the 2 years. So, once again, that speaks to the work ethic that Ty has. And also at the Dapper Dan All-Star game, Ty, I don't know if you remember this. I remember telling you before the Dapper Dan All-Star game that year, I was telling you were the best player in this league. And believe it or not, once again, for people listening in, Ty, at times at that age, you know, he did struggle with some confidence. And, you know, he was sort of unsure of himself. And I remember telling Ty, you're the best player in the league, and you're going to show it today. And he went out in the Dapper Dan All-Star game and had 3 hits and 3 at-bats. I think he scored a game-winning run. I remember that part. And, yeah, so, I mean, he proved it that day.
Ray has a good memory.
So what I remember of Ty is Ty being quiet, not saying a lot, and really fast. So, Ty, I can tell you that's my memory of the Dapper Dan. I didn't remember the 21 strikeouts out of 23, and I wouldn't have brought it up. So,
Typical Cumberland.
Unfortunately, you have Ray that has the memory that he could tell you how many years I've been the commissioner. Probably
it'd be 20, I think.
It's getting close.
Yeah.
I have to rely on you to tell me that.
21, I think. 2000, so this would be the 21st season.
And I was going to do it for 1 year. Harry Grove, God love his soul in the sky, he stepped down at a meeting. I become Dapper Dan president, right? My dad is upset with me because I'm becoming president. At the end of the meeting, he steps down as the baseball chair or baseball chairman or commissioner, and I look around the room and I turn to Kenny Leisure and God rest his soul, and I said, Kenny, this is your opportunity. And he looked at me and he goes, I don't think so. and he got up and left the meeting, and he didn't come back to the Dapper Dan. I lost 2 guys in the same night, so I became president in the same night that I defaulted into the baseball commissioner and swore that day that I would be a 1 year. I would be a president longer than I would be a commissioner. And here we are 21 years later sitting still as the commissioner. And it's amazing because I'm thinking it's 16. So that's how off I am on years. But it's amazing that it's been that long. But it's been a great opportunity to see players like Ty to come through. Coach Todd coached in our league. He was a head coach of a younger team. He did not want to be the head coach. When he got up to the majors, he wanted to stay as an assistant coach. You know, he didn't want that notoriety. He wanted to be in the back. But what a great job he did when he came up through. And then Ray was there
13 years as a manager.
So I need Ray to spit that out. So I mean, it's the Dapper Dan. It has a lot of tradition. It has a lot of kids that come up through and a lot of stories, and there's a lot of history to it. And a lot of people like to be a part of it. It's not a 2 or 3 year and you're out. It's more like that today than it was then, but it's amazing. And for opportunities like Ty to evolve and to realize that you got an opportunity to coach a NFL player in his Little League days is amazing. And then Todd, and you're getting ready to get into the high school days. I can't imagine what it's like for you to have to sit on that side, and you're one of the most humble people that I know, that you won't take credit. You just won't tear your chest off and say, I coached him. But I can say you did. I mean, you're amazing with what you've done with kids over the years. And, you know, I'm happy to say that I was a commissioner for Ty, and what little part that is, let alone the impact you have. And And so I do want to get into did you have anything else, Ray, on Little League parts, or do you want to?
No, I mean, I think you really hit the nail on the head with the whole Dapper Dan thing. And, I've been told in the past by a former player that he played baseball a lot up through college, and he told me that if he had one inning to play in baseball, it would be in the Dapper Dan at Long Field.
Wow.
So just because of the good memories that come with it, and it's just a long, historic league for the area, and it's just a wonderful thing to be a part of. And I'm sure Ty feels the same way.
And you had Joker in the booth for 12 years, 10 years, yelling about getting the foul ball, return it for a quarter or getting a drink, and then yelling at the kids on top of the caboose that, hey, get down off that caboose. Does your mom and dad know you're up there? So you
mid-pitch.
And you have and everybody over from the Fining Center to South Cumberland can hear Joker talk on the loudspeaker. So
that was always fun as your pitchers in mid-pitch throwing a pitch and Joker's on the loudspeaker telling the kid to get off the caboose. But good times with that.
Yeah, and the only story I would tell you about Joker real quick, and it's funny because there's a guy at my office that witnessed this. We had a tournament up at Long Field, and Joker does the game, and God love Joker and rest his soul. He sometimes didn't have a filter, and sometimes didn't turn the mic off, and so we have the championship. We win the championship. PVAA is second place, so they're runner-ups. And to Joker, he just didn't think of the word runner-up. So he said, "With the losers from PVA, please come out and line up to get your trophy." And it just and the best thing was the parents and the coaches laughed. Like, they didn't scream at him because they realized that, Joker is Joker. And other than Randy yelled up at him and said, "Could you at least not call us losers tonight?" And just the memories that are up there at Longfield, and that's, I say, I'm sure, Ty, that you remember those days under the lights. So it's special for sure. So, but so leading into Todd, this is all you, buddy, for talk about the high school days that you get handed a kid coming up through the system and now starts into it. So the stories are yours, bud.
Well, I guess the first thing is we've been into this for a half hour, and I've talked the least.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Amazing, isn't it?
17 minutes. So we're going to time you. So.
Ray's all prepared, and he has notes and stuff. I'm just going to talk about him as a person, and I think humble comes to mind. Kids don't understand that before you got to somewhere, you had to go through a process to get there. And no matter where he's at, he never forgets about the process and the humility and the work to get to the point where he's going to go. He writes down goals all the time, things that we wouldn't think, but he thinks is achievable. But he knows that there's a process to getting there. And I don't remember Ty at the Saints level, and I don't remember him in Little League, to be honest with you. And tell you the truth, when he came up for ninth grade weights, and another thing kids don't understand today, I didn't know who Ty Mance was. I mean, he was a kid probably of, 64 kids that year that came up from 8th grade to play high school football. He was a kid, and he was a kid that worked hard. And I didn't really know him as the player. I don't think he played youth league football in 8th grade. I don't think he did that. No. And so he wasn't on the list. He wasn't on the radar. And I think that contributes to his humility, because he does the right things. He wants to do the right things. And he doesn't want to be the center of attention. Like tonight, I text him, last night? Or I don't know. I said, sorry about this, buddy. Like, because of this grandiose show that we're doing tonight, because I don't think he really he appreciates it, and he likes you guys appreciating it, but it's not what he's about. So when the first time I really noticed him was I was up on the press box at a freshman football game, And every time they gave that kid the ball, what number did you wear when you were a freshman football player? See, I don't remember numbers like that.
Number 30, actually.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, you're 30, right. You're right. You're right. I said, man, Ty, number 30, give him the ball again. He's explosive. So they gave him the ball in, like, I think 9 sweet. And down the sidelines, touchdown. I said, he's special. You guys need to feed him the ball a little bit more because you'll win more games that way. And so as time went on, you know, he had a great freshman year. Still just hand the ball to the referee like he does in the NFL now. Every time he got in the end zone. And then he showed his talent on the field. And so I brought him and the two Shives and Ryan Smith and somebody. Alex Barnes. In that little computer room all together. And I said, hey, you know, we're going to be low in seniors next year, 2012. You guys want to come up varsity? They were all big smiles and they want to come up varsity. But he never once, you know, walked around the hallways saying, I'm a varsity football player. I'm a sophomore. A lot of kids, like, they'll tell their grandkids that when they're 65 years old. I was moved up to varsity to be a sophomore. I was moved up my freshman year. You know, you never heard Ty say any of that stuff. It was just about doing the work. That's it. And I know I preach a lot to the kids and tell them that. They'll look at the Ty Johnson with big hair and the nose ring that I talk about a lot because I don't really like it. But they'll look at that and they'll want to put the cart before the horse. They want all that stuff before they do the work. And he still has that. But I mean, if Detroit Lions said, well, you need to do this, he would do that because he's a good soldier and wants to do good for other people. And I felt like I was quoted too much in that Allegheny magazine, but one thing I'll say, and I'll repeat for forever and a day, is he's a giver. He's not a taker. He always has been. And people have heard me say stuff like this. I think God rewards good people.
Absolutely. I agree.
And he's definitely a good person that comes from very humble means and just still at that humble means, he was still a giver. Like, I say this and he might be embarrassed or whatever, but he said, can I help you out somehow? Because my office is a mess because the equipment's in there, the videotapes are in there, the computer's in there, all that stuff's in there, and it's a mess. And I was like, man, this place is a mess because I took down all these plaques and pictures, and I was reorganizing the office. I said, look at all these bare spots. I don't have time to paint. He goes, I'll paint it for you. I mean, he's this star football player who just got a scholarship from Maryland, and he's painting an office. You remember that? You remember that? Yeah. And I was like, man, you don't have to do that. I'll do that. I'll find. No, that's fine. I'll do it. So he's always been like that, and I think that really contributes to his success. He's never thought of himself as somebody special. When he comes back to town, we've gone out to breakfast and stuff, and people come up and ask for his autograph, and you know he's kind of embarrassed or kind of like, wow, you know. I think he's happiest, and he can tell you this. He can tell you guys I'm wrong or whatever, but I think he's happiest being just high. You know, being in the Fort Hill mat room, the Fort Hill weight room, and just working out with the kids, or working out the kids, which he's done when he came home this time, and they don't really like to see him coming at times because he gives them workouts that are pretty strenuous and pretty painful. But I think it's pretty special, and they know this, that somebody like that is just coming to be one of the guys and helping them out at the same time. really says a lot about his character, his person. So I'm kind of just blessed to be a part of his life. And I know, like, we have big time talks about that kind of stuff because people stigmatize you. I know it on a smaller scale than him. There's a lot of people who don't know Todd Appel, the person, but they seem to identify Todd Appel as the person they want him to be, or they think he is. And he gets it on a grandiose scale, a major scale. But I look at him with, as that kid with the tight haircut and the small face, little head, that had a great big smile and just worked hard. People that are new friends of Ty, they see that. I don't see that. Ray don't see that. You don't see that. But I just think that people need to come to grips a little bit more with, no matter what the position is, they're the person, and he's a tremendous person.
Yeah. Hall of Fame person.
Absolutely, 100%.
I've told the story about Ty. I'm just his old Little League baseball coach. And there's not a Christmas morning I don't wake up and one of the first people that texts me is Ty Johnson. When I was in the hospital a few years ago, Ty, one of the people that reached out to me, that's when he was at Fort Hill. I think he was a senior that year. Tracy, his mom, came and visited me in the hospital, among other people.
And that's somebody you got to mention too.
Yes, definitely.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all love Tracy. I mean, I speak to her. I was talking to her last night. I mean, she's another friend. So, she's just done an amazing job.
Oh, absolutely.
And, like I said, we all love her. And through the years, her and I have had some great conversations when he decided he didn't want to play baseball anymore. And her and I had some conversations about that because I wanted what was best for Ty, and like everybody else did. And as I said earlier, I knew in my heart that whatever chosen field Ty decided to go with, whether it was football, baseball, or something not sports related, he was going to be making money, professional, doing whatever at the highest level he chose. I mean, it just speaks to the person. Once again, like I said, I want everybody to understand that, it's more than just the sports and the football with Ty. You know?
Me and Tracy have had conversations too. They're better now than they were back then. She was a protective mom, but she was also a tough mom. Like, I think a lot of times moms are too protective and don't let the kids go through the tough things. But she would be the tough one who would make it tough on her. You're not quitting this. You come home, I'm kicking your butt out of the house. And that, like, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. And I think a lot of people just want to let their kid have their way because they want to be the kid's friend. Tracy was a mom.
Correct. Yes.
And made sure that he did the right things. I know he don't agree with mom all the time. I'm sorry, Tracy. And they get their knockdown dragouts. But that's what mom and son's relationships should be about. If it's different one way or the other, it's wrong. She's a lot of love, but she's a lot of, you better do this, you better do that. And Ty, he made decisions, and I think a lot of those decisions were, and I can agree with this because I had the same kind of mom, a little fearful. Like, you stay in and don't go there because mom's going to come get you. And I know my mom did. My mom came and got me places. And that threat of that makes him be a better person. I think, my hat goes off to Tracy a great deal. And I'm sure he would say the same thing, even though that they don't agree all the time. She's a tremendous mom, single mom, who did not just a good job with Ty, but his other siblings too. Yeah,
without a doubt. We just need to keep the clothes off the dog in the Christmas season. Tracy and Ty, and they'll all know what I'm talking about on that.
So I can see.
Keep my dog happy, man.
Yeah, and your mom reached out on our page, and unfortunately I'm not computer savvy, so it'll be Ryan that'll have to help me get these things posted up. But right out of the gate, 27 minutes ago, she posted on there, "Mama loves you, Ty." I mean, she's on there listening, and bam, and right there it is. It's up, and it's it's just great. So it's just the opportunity. It's a family. I mean, it's regardless of we're talking about Dapper Dan, we're talking about Fort Hill. Your family here. I mean, like it is a family. It's everybody treats everybody as a family, and that's been a genuine thing with everybody here. So I mean, and I know like you're not a big, like you said, he's humble is definitely Ty, but down to earth. I can text him. Right after. I think I was texting you. I think when combines were going on because you didn't get your opportunity to go, and that. You had that little bit of fire because you weren't selected, and I really think had your coaching staff stayed at University of Maryland, I really think you would have been in the combines. I think because the transition period University of Maryland went through, there was a loss there of somebody fighting for the opportunity for Ty Johnson to be there because you would have excelled. And the good thing is you still got your pro day, and they saw you, and with that 6th round pick, the 186th round that they're standing up there and they announced your name. I can't imagine. I mean, you're like, we want to hear about your university days, like a story or two, but to hear your name announced on ESPN that is the selection, and bam, it comes up. I mean, it's amazing that here we are, but it's us hearing your name. It's not you hearing your name, and I want to know what that was like, that instant to hear that you are going to go to an NFL team, because it is so rare in our area for any athlete to ever make it a professional level. So it just a tremendous, great job of everything you've done since Little League. I mean, like, you've had it in you since Little League on how you structure yourself. So.
Can I say something real quick? The combine thing. Your Ty's always, I think, had a little bit of chip on his shoulder in certain areas of his life going up through, and that was just another chip. I bet you he could probably tell you the guys that were invited to the combine that aren't playing in NFL right now. So he made that motivation, and he's playing still, and some of those guys aren't. Go ahead, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, going off that first, I remember it was I was waiting for the second round of combine invites to come out, and I have a whole bunch of people telling me, like, I can't wait to see you at the combine. Like, I have the East-West Shrine game I played in. All the coaches there were like, yo, like, you're going to the combine. Like, I can't wait to see you there, because the coaching staff is coaches from NFL teams, and the manager of the East-West Shrine game, he was like, I really can't wait to see what you can do. My trainer in Florida at XP, Matt Gates, he was like, we got to get you a combine invite. Like, it has to happen. My agent, Jason, was saying it's going to happen, all this. And I'm excited, and when I didn't get it, it kind of like I was heated. That's not a lie. I was ready to, like, fight everyone, because, like, I was like, you got to be kidding me. And they ended up telling me, like, they ended up inviting some juniors, some underclassmen, because, they need to, that's what it is. It's just to see how they are. They want to see their body and see how they test and everything. And I was like, man, like, this is trash. Like, like, this is garbage. And then, I talked to my agent, I talked to my mom, and it was more of a just keep pushing forward, and everyone's going to see you at Pro Day and see you just run fast and test well, and, it's going to be a great day, and, go from there. And sadly, like, everyone knows that I tweaked my hammy on my second 40 that day at Pro Day, so then I was already like, man, it's the end of the world, But I was meeting with a few teams right after my Pro Day, and they were saying, like, after you ran your 40, like, you could have left. It doesn't matter. Like, you could have left your Pro Day. It doesn't matter. And going up to, top 30 visits and everything, that's when NFL teams can, if you're a top 30 player for them, they invite you to the facility to do testing, to talk to the coaches, to see your football knowledge, a whole bunch of stuff. Mostly it's medical examinations and stuff like MRIs, X-rays, seeing a team doctor, stuff like that. And I was like, okay, like I have a few visits lined up, so that's a good thing. It's like people do want to see me. I'm on someone's radar at least. And no one knows, but if you guys go back to my one Facebook, I was posting everywhere I was going, and the one place I didn't post that I went to was Detroit, actually. And they were like, don't post, don't say anything about us. And I showed up there, talked to Coach Patricia, Bob Quinn, everyone there, Coach Caskey. And, you know, coming up to the draft day, I'm getting a call, and I don't think it was a Michigan number. It was Bob Quinn that called me. I don't think it was a Michigan number, and I'm like, who's this? Like, who could possibly be calling me from this number? Because it had, like, the state and the city. I'm like, I have no idea, like, where is this from? And he was like, is this Ty Johnson? I'm like, yeah, like, who's this? And then he was like, it's Bob Quinn of the Detroit Lions. We're just calling you to let you know we're going to pick you. And I'm like, I'm just right here. I'm just like, yo, like, you serious? And then he kept talking to me. Coach Patricia got on the phone next, and then Coach Caskey did. And right before the end of the phone call, Bob Quinn was like, hey, you good? Like, you're not saying, don't sound excited. And I was like, I just don't know what to say. Like, you just made a dream come true. And then I broke down. After I hugged my mom, I broke down. And it was just, you know, a big weight off my shoulders, really. And, I mean, regardless if I would have been drafted or not, I knew I would have been at someone's mini camp. But the fact that, you know, I had my name called and I was drafted, it meant so much more to me. And it was just a great moment, and everyone that was there, you know, everyone was hugging me. Coach Appel, I believe Coach Appel was still there. I saw him, and it was just a great moment, and I couldn't even explain it, to be honest. It was just an amazing moment.
Can you imagine, though, like all the calls we get now, and you ignore them? You hit the ignore button because you don't recognize the number, and if you would have done that, is I don't know the number, ignore, and then go on your way, and they're trying to call to tell you that you're being drafted. So I guess then you would have found out through ESPN then if you wouldn't have answered that call. What a phone call, though.
Knowing Coach Patricia is a disciple of Bill Belichick, he probably didn't want Coach Belichick to know that who they were visiting. That's why they didn't want Ty to post. That sounds like something in that level of Belichick and Patricia and those guys.
Absolutely. I mean, that tells you the seriousness that Detroit was looking at you. Is they were trying to keep you probably down so that you're not drafted in the first round of the Little League, that you can slide to the second round, because we are going to dig that up and find out who the first round selection is. But so that nobody knows nobody knows that kid, so I can get him in the second round. I can go get this kid and then get this kid. So it's kind of the same thing in the NFL level. If you don't know that he's visiting, then you don't know that Detroit's interested. So it's the same concept, and that's awesome. That's for everybody, for your family to be a part of that. So that's great. That's great. That's amazing for sure. So I guess if we take a step back into the University of Maryland, so Coach Todd is your mentor, your guy that is going to get you somewhere, and then you get that University of Maryland. And I'm sure Mark Mangus probably, was involved in a little bit of that somewhere, or if because he always makes phone calls, so that he would have called down telling the University of Maryland. And I think it's that whole thing that once you're a player and you leave there, you can always make a phone call, and somebody's going to pick it up and say there's a name, and it just registers, and somebody types it down or handwrites a note and passes it on. So that big family part of it. But to go to University of Maryland, so what kind of a story, what would you like everybody tonight to understand the University of Maryland experience?
I mean, it was definitely rough some years, but not a lot of people know I was offered my scholarship by Coach Randy Edsel, and a great guy and everything. And it was actually wild because we went 3-9 my freshman year. So we won our first 2 games of the season and then lost every single one leading up to the last game of the season, which was Rutgers, where I had 2 touchdowns, 2 carries, 2 touchdowns. And that was after Coach Appel was fired. Mike Loxley was the interim head coach. But before all that happened, I think it was game 5 or 6 and of our season, and Coach Etzel, freshman, sit in the back of the team room, and he was like, "Todd Johnson, where you at?" And I was like, "I'm right here," and I'm nervous because he was like, "Stand up," and I stood up, and he was just saying, what's it like to come from such a great football program, and like how you carry yourself and be so poised with everything that's going on, and like how you carry yourself and how you practice and what you do. And mostly I just told him, like, I told the team, I was just like, yo, like, I learned how to win when I was at Fort Hill. And granted, it's 1A football, and, you know, you got guys that are from, like, Friendship Academy, and you got guys from, like, Florida, Texas, you know, from all over the country. But I was like, I learned how to win and, you know, all this other stuff. And I was like, that's just how I was, you know, trained, how I was coached, how I learned. And everyone, you know, you got the guys on the team that are seniors and juniors looking at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, it's just how it happens. I was just like, I was nervous. I was shaking because, you know, these guys are like, you know, hovering over me because I'm still some small little thing. And it was just like, yeah. And it was kind of crazy because, like, I could feel the tension that because Coach Etzel told me to stand up and tell, like, seniors that, and I'm a freshman. I could feel, like, the tension eyes of, like, the guys sitting up in the front row about, you know, how to play football. And they're older than me. They've been doing it longer than me. So it was just wild. So that was just, like, a story no one really knows. I don't think I ever really told anyone that. It was just crazy how that happened. And another story not many people know is that going into my sophomore year, so right after my freshman season, I'm going into my freshman off season for spring ball and everything, and it was a struggle. Coach Rick Court was there. That's when Coach Durkin got there, and I was struggling. It was like I finished my season at like 192 in weight, and they were like, we need you to eat every 3 hours. Like, we need to get your weight up. And I'm snacking in class. I'm taking protein shakes. I'm doing everything possible to, you know, gain my weight. And because Coach Appel remembers, we were in the Big 33 game, and the week before we left for the Big 33 game to go down there in Hershey, Pennsylvania to play, I got sick, and I was 170 going into the Big 33 game. And right after the game, I left to go to Hagerstown to see my uncle, and then the next day I was in College Park to report for summer training. And I got my weight back up before the season, and by the time that happened, I was 180. So, you know, it was a struggle just through that. And then, you know, Coach Court, Coach Durkin, they're like, yeah, get your weight up. Like, come on. Coach Tuck, he was from Arkansas State, Witch Bell. They were like, yeah, we need you to get your weight up, stuff like this. And you still got seniors like Wes Brown, Kenny Goins ahead of me still. And we go into that spring ball, and that was probably one of the hardest things I ever experienced because we did split squads. And if you don't know what split squad is, you split the team in half. So like half of the O linemen go on one side, half of the the other half go on one side. So you mostly got 2 teams, and it's red versus black, black versus red. And it's mostly like first stringers versus second stringers and so forth. And it was probably the hardest thing ever because with Coach Bell's offense, it was a no-huddle, hurry-up offense. And it was a struggle at practice. So you're talking about practicing for 3 hours, going no-huddle the whole practice. Like, and you're not conditioned for it. You're going to be hurting, you know. And I was telling my mom going into camp because I was getting wrecked at practice. Like, linebackers were hitting me like every second. Coach Durkin had them hitting me. Like, any possible second I was getting tackled, you know, thudded up, anything. And I told my mom going through my sophomore training camp, I was like, Mom, like, I want to come home. I don't want to play no more. And then that's one of those moments where Coach Appel mentioned, she was like, you come home, you know, it's not going to be good for you. And so, you know, I was just like, because I remember telling her that after spring ball, I was like, Mom, if anything's like spring ball, the best training camp, like, I'm not going to make it. And she was like, you'll be fine. And I was like, you don't understand, like, how hard this is. And So yeah, she was one of those people that kind of talked me through it. I had my teammates Wes Brown, Jake Funk, and everything to help me through it through training camp, and then Coach Appel, Jimmy Furstenberg, a whole bunch of people. I think Coach Ray might have hit me up. I'm not sure because it was so long ago, but I was ready to come home and not do anything. I was ready to give up, and then somehow end up having a 1,000-yard season. It was like 110 carries and 1,000 yards for like 9.7 or something like that. It was just crazy because I was like, I went from there, from almost ready to quit to being a 1,000-yard rusher the following season, I was like the 9th player ever at Maryland to do it. And it was just one of those things. I was like, it's crazy. I'm going from I don't want to play football ever again to, having a season like that. And I can go on and on if you want from junior year to senior year. But those are like 2 stories really no one ever knew about. But yeah, it was definitely a struggle. But I definitely did my thing there and had a few records, had a 1,000-yard season, and I'm here, so that's all that really matters at the end of the day.
Ty, correct me if I'm wrong. When you went to college, your very first game against I think it was Richmond, I think you were 17 years old, correct? You hadn't turned 18 yet.
My first touchdown.
Yeah. Very first game.
Yeah, I turned 18 when we played September 17th. We were playing. Yep, and we were playing UCF, I think, actually. So it was like the day before, or it was that Monday or something like that. We were playing UCF that weekend because I remember it was like the 3rd game of the season, and so scored my first one at 17 against Richmond on a speed option right from Caleb Rose, like a 1-yard touchdown.
Yeah, I remember it. I remember we were me and Rashawn and Markel Spencer.
Oh yeah,
we were at the game, and I remember texting Ty after the game. But it's just so people that don't follow college football very much, they don't realize how rare it is for a true freshman in their very first game to get playing time, let alone score a touchdown, let alone 17 years old.
Yeah, I was at that game too, and you guys were within 5 yards of the goal line when you got in the game, and they ran you off tackle. And I was like, man, he's going to score. And first of all, like I think it was me, Jeff Brode, my dad, Connor. We were all there watching, and you got in the game, and I think somebody was at the concession stand. Was like, he's in. So got down the goal line, and they ran you off tackle. I'm like, no, get him out on the edge. And this old guy in front of me goes, oh, college football is a little bit different than high school football, coach. You don't know. I was like, I'm serious. They get him out in the edge. He'll get in the end zone. And they didn't at that point in time, but later on I think they learned. What was your first touchdown?
It was a speed option right.
Speed option right. There you go. Yeah, right. Get you on the edge. Back to like getting to University of Maryland. I can't take much credit for that. He did all that work on his own, made sure that he went to camps and did those things. I'm not sure how much Mark Mangus had to do with anything. I do know this. I know that University of Albany came to the day that we were running 40s in the stadium, and it's Coach LeVara. And he goes, I heard about this Ty Johnson kid. Wait, is he really that fast? I was like, well, right, he's up right now. Watch the watch. And I said, you watch me click it when he takes off, and you watch me click it when he comes across the finish line, and you can tell me if I'm doing anything wrong. And I think it was like 4.48 or something like that. And he immediately left me and went and called his head coach and said, hey, we need to offer this guy. So the University of Albany offered him first. But then he went to the University of Maryland to a camp, and I was at – see, I know I do this, but I was at Nag's Head, and Ty knew it, and Coach Edsel called me and said, Coach Appel, I just want to tell you that we just offered Ty a full scholarship at the University of Maryland. And he goes, Todd, I remember this like it was yesterday. He said, Todd didn't want me to call you because he knew you were on vacation and you were busy. I was like, Coach Edsel, I said, that's completely fine. And so I'm standing on the boardwalk looking at the ocean, and Coach Edsel calls me and says, this kid from Fort Hill, has a full scholarship at the University of Maryland, not because somebody talked for him, not because somebody did something for him, is because they heard about him being fast. And then amongst all those guys that Ty talked about down there at the University of Maryland at camp, the kids from Friendship, the kids from DeMatha, the kids from whoever, he was just as fast and probably the fastest one there. And so it was apples versus apples. Didn't matter if he was from small town Cumberland versus all those big city private schools. They measured him just for what he was. He was a kid that worked hard and was the fastest person at camp and earned a scholarship at the University of Maryland. And I was like on that boardwalk looking at the ocean, looking at the sun in the sky, and Coach Edsall's talking to me about Ty Johnson. I was like, that was a God moment. I was like, cool. I'll remember that one.
Absolutely. Ty, what you went through at University of Maryland is you went through running backs. They rostered 5 running backs almost every year, and it's like, and then they just keep recruiting running backs, and it's like, so then your time is limited. You're shuffled in, you're shuffled out, and then you shuffle head coaches. There's controversy. You have a new coach. New systems come in. I mean, to go through that adversity, those two things, I don't know that any other NFL player could have gone through the changes of coaches, the changes or just in the number of obstacles of different running backs there, that if one of those guys excels and breaks away, and then that coach says, you know what, I'm going to stick with him the rest of the season, and then you don't get that opportunity, and yet you keep fighting to stay. I mean, what I remember when talking to you when you were at University of Maryland is I got to get trained. I can't stop training. I can't come up and accept the award because I got to train. I got to make sure I stay better in the top shape I can be, and even better than that. I got to be better than I was because I have to always compete against 4 and 5 guys. It's not 2 guys. And then the next year they're recruiting what it says is the top running back, bringing him in again. And the thing that we always said here, kind of a round table of the non-football people, was the good thing was you would be fresh to go to the combines and go to the NFL, is that your body wouldn't be abused by the number of carries being at the University of Maryland with the other ones that you shared. But, I mean, the opportunities that you had there, you maximized it, and it showed. It showed, and I still say that the combine thing doesn't happen because of the coach controversy, or you do get that because somebody then does what they're supposed to do, does their job at the University of Maryland, and they're not there for you. And it's great that you've got other people, your trainer and everybody else, to get you your pro day, to tell you, to guide you, to get you that spot, to get that opportunity, and then for you to take it and then go one step higher. Because like we say, I told you before when we talked when you're at University of Maryland, to get an opportunity to go to the combines, to get an opportunity to be pro day, to get an opportunity to be even on somebody's list, and Ty Johnson's name is on a list, and if you don't ever get selected, you're still special. You are still, like, what you have accomplished is like no other, and that we've had for a very long time here, and it's a great thing. It gives the community here that if there's down times and people are struggling here, it gives people something to look forward to, is to read about you and get to watch you, and then you got to play at Washington this year, and buses come down to see you play. So it was great, and like I said, it's hats off to stay with it. Like you said about wanting to quit at University of Maryland, you could see anybody would want to quit after watching running back after running back keep getting shuffled in, that is brought in year after year, and yet you continue to excel to where you're at today, and that it's hats off. And I know, like Todd says, you don't like to hear that, and I know that I said hats off. I think we laughed about this on the morning rush show I was on. I think we counted 12 times in 27 minutes. I got to watch repeating words, but it's an honor to sit here today and to get an opportunity to interview, just listen to your stories. But I guess another thing I'd like to know is, okay, so you're drafted by the Detroit Lions. Okay, you are now going into a city that you don't know anything about, and you're going in. So now you got to find a place to stay. You don't have friends that are there already. So now it's just like it's like going on vacation but staying. And what was that like when you get
Detroit?
Yeah, I guess that probably isn't the right words on that. But so you get off that airplane the first time, and it's like I'm getting a cab to go find a place to stay after I go meet my Detroit Lions, and I just like, what's that experience like, and how does Detroit help you, become the family and find a place and fit in right away, because that's just got to be overwhelming. And Detroit is big, and Detroit is rough. I mean, yeah, vacation probably the place that you advertise, but what was that like to experience that?
So right when you land, you meet with like an assistant, whatever, and they put you in a van, really, and you're waiting for all the other guys to get off their flights because a lot of guys fly in the same day. So you're really waiting on a bus, and then they take you over to a hotel, and that's where you stay at all through OTAs. And for the first, when you get there till your summer break, you stay at a hotel with a roommate, and my roommate was TJ Hawkinson, actually, from Iowa, who we played multiple times throughout my career at Maryland. And and really that's where you stay at. And me being a sixth rounder, you don't know if you're still going to really make it. Like, I was going to work, and I was like, I'm going to make them make me make this team. Like, there's no other way around it. But there's still that uncertainty. And guys like TJ Hawkinson, he's a first-round pick. He's not going anywhere. So he could look for a place now and, get a house, do all the things he needs to do. And it's really you really don't start looking for a place until towards the end of training camp before the season starts. So during the preseason, that's when I found my place, because you don't know when you're going to make the team or not. There's no point in making a team and paying for a house if you don't know you're going to make the team. But when they told me I was making a team, that's why I didn't have to play the last preseason game. They were like, you don't need to dress up or anything. Like, you're on the team. They gave me my scouting report for Arizona the next week. I was like, oh, cool. I called my mom, called Jason, I called everybody, and then I found a place literally within maybe an hour where most of my teammates live. A lot of them where they live, it's about 15 minutes away from our practice facility in Allen Park and about 15 minutes away from the game field. And that's really how it went down. And, you have guys and people around the facility that help guide you in that way no matter what throughout the whole process. But when you first get there, you're not worrying about staying anywhere. You're in a hotel from the time you get there till the time you leave. And then even during training camp and preseason, you're in a hotel. So you get housed, really. But, obviously it's nice to have your own spot ready, but it's not really smart or financially smart to get into a new house or a new apartment without knowing you're going to make the team yet.
That's the kind of stuff that you don't know. I mean, that to get, you make the team, so you've made the next level that other people don't make. You're going to walk out with a Detroit Lions helmet on with a number, and you're going to walk out, and your helmet is probably taped by they're probably coded to the coaches to tell them how to watch, who to watch, on who's going to make the roster cuts. There's probably a system that they have that we don't know what it is. But to hear that you don't even have to practice in the last preseason game because you've already made a team, I mean, to know, to get an opportunity to get that jersey with your name's going to be on the back, and so did you get to? Because I think, did you not have two numbers this year? So you had a preseason number and then it changed. So did you got to select? So you didn't select the I shouldn't say preseason, but when you went for tryouts and to make the team, to make the roster, it was one number, and then you did select your number then after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just gave me, there's a number in my locker when I got there, and when you first get there, you don't have a normal locker like everyone else. You got these metal lockers that are on wheels, and they're on wheels for a reason, because if they don't want you, they can just move your locker out, clean it out, and there's more space, or they can open it up for someone else. That's just
locker on wheels.
It's just the reality of it. I mean, that's NFL for you. Like, every rookie goes through it. Until you make the team, you don't get a real locker. You get a metal one. And that was the number. 38 was the number I had. And then after I made the team, they were calling me literally that next day. Tim, he's our equipment manager. He's like, "Hey, Ty, like, what number you want?" And I'm like, "Oh, can I just keep 38? You know, I feel good in it." He was like, "Well, Mike Ford, he's a DB. He's keeping that number, so you got to pick another one." And I was like, "What 20 numbers you got?" And he was like, "Well, we only had 24 and 25 left, and Amani and Will took it because I called them first because I'm going in order of pick." So, like, they were both picked in. Will was picked in the 3rd round, and Amani was picked in the 4th round. So they went ahead and got called before me. And I was like, "Well, what numbers you got?" And he was like, "The lowest number I got is 31. And I was like, "All right, let me get it." And, yeah, that's really how it planned out, really.
Can you be a running back in the NFL and mix up those numbers like NBA? You can be any number. You know, Kobe had 8, and in high school you can't be anything higher than 5 because of the digits when referees go up the scores table. But then the NBA, you can be whatever. I know they mark players by numbers, I'm sure, because of illegal players downfield and things like that. But what if you wanted 99? I mean, would you have been allowed to put on 99 or something just totally off the wall, or is there a number range that you have to stop at?
There's always number ranges for every position. Quarterbacks are 1 through 20. Receivers are team numbers and 80 numbers. O linemen are 60 through 70s, and then you got D linemen who are 90s and such. Tight ends are 80s as well. Running backs are anywhere between 20 to 49, I believe, and same as linebackers. I think that's how it goes. But yeah, that's really how, it goes. But during the preseason, you can be any number. Like the Patriots, that's how they kind of do their hazing a little bit. I wouldn't call it hazing, but
initiation.
They had their first round pick. Well, not their first round pick, but their receiver they got. What was it? Harris or whatever it was. The receiver from was it Iowa State? I'm not sure. Neal or something like that. His number was like number 69 and he's a receiver. That's just how they do it, until you earn your real number and make the team. You don't, they could give you whatever number. But that's how the Patriots have done it. Like, I could be wearing, there's a running back wearing 71, when we practiced against them for, joint practices in the preseason before the first game. But that's just, and then when the preseason game came, like that Sunday, or whenever we played them, I'm not sure, or Saturday, or whatever it was, all the guys had actual numbers, receivers had receiver numbers, running backs had running back numbers, and so forth.
So this is Sunday night at the Dapper Dan, and I don't put you on the spot because we hope we do it, or we're able to live feed you in for it, but so every award winner, the top award winner, is always going to tell you a story. So I'm going to steal the limelight from Sunday night and pull it forward 2 nights and say, what story from this year's Detroit Lions, a game, anything that is just something that that people wouldn't understand or wouldn't have any idea would happen? What kind of story? Do you have a story like that you want to tell us about in a game situation, practice, coach, in your face, grill? I don't know, Todd, you're probably not allowed to grab face masks anymore and yank them at them, or at least you can't do it where there's film because everybody's got a camera now. So you're probably limited on grabbing. So, but
I never have. I never have.
I mean, not a lot of people know. I don't really talk all that much. I don't trash talk a whole bunch or anything. But this season, I was telling y'all before we went live and everything, there's some guys that don't hit all that hard, you know what I'm saying? But there's a few guys that will hit me and then they'll they'll chirp at me and everything. And that's when I get going at them because they really think they did something, and I'm like, I'll call them soft and I'll give them some other words and everything.
Other words? What other words?
Other words. But that's just how it is. And Khalil Mack, I said what I need to say to him. He's huge. Doesn't bother me. He's some big, edge rusher, and you wouldn't think about talking trash to him on the street or anything, but it's just how it is. Like, I gotta hold my ground no matter who it is. And who else was there? There's been a lot of guys, great athletes that I played against, and I was going back at them because they were chirping, so I was chirping back all right, if you trying to do this, let's do it. Let's go.
Yeah. Has there been anybody you've met since you've been in the NFL that maybe you've been sort of starstruck meeting?
I met Tavon Austin when we played Dallas. I told him, I was like, you remember playing Fort Hill in the state championship game? And he was like, oh, you played there? He was like, you played there? I was like, nah, I was watching, but I played there after you left and everything.
And got your
rings.
Like,
oh, man. And I was like, he was like, oh, man. He was like, yeah, Fort Hill, man. Y'all are good and everything. And I was like, yeah, all right, bro. You don't have to keep talking. It's all good. But it was cool meeting him. And then obviously Matt Stafford. Everyone's always talking about, Tom Brady and everything. I saw Tom Brady warming up and everything before practice, and it was like, all right, cool. But for some reason when I was in the huddle with Matt Stafford, I remember Coach Kasky, he was during OTAs, he was like, I got the green light to put you in with the ones, which is, Matt Stafford, Marvin Jones, Kenny Golladay, all those guys. And he was like, you're going to do 2 minutes today, and it's signals. And I didn't know them completely yet, but I knew most of them. And Matt Stafford, he's just looking at me like, you good? And I'm like, yeah, cool. And he was telling me what to do, and I was like, I got it, don't worry. And then I remember even before that, we were catching routes and everything from the quarterbacks, and I did an angle route, and he threw the ball at me, and I was like, he threw the fastest spiral ever. His spirals are crazy. And I caught it, and I double clutched it. And he was like, you good? And I'm like, I just caught a ball from Matt Stafford. It's crazy. And then he was just like, you good? I'm like, yeah, cool. And then I also met Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders. So I worked the camp for Calvin Johnson, and he was showing these kids certain placements with their feet and everything for being a receiver. And he was in some khakis and a polo, and he did 3 movements, and it was the fastest movements I ever saw. I never seen someone's feet so quick. And I was just like, I looked at my teammate Will Harris because he was there with me, and I was like, you just saw that? And he was like, yeah, that was crazy. And then just meeting Barry Sanders, they thought I was Carry-On Johnson when they asked me if I wanted a picture. But I was like, I'm not Carry-On, but I'll take a picture. And so it was cool meeting him and everything. And I just thanked him for paving the way for running backs and stuff like that. And I was like, I appreciate you being here, stuff like that. Even though I'm some 6th rounder, he doesn't even know me or anything like that. We're playing Kansas City, the Kansas City Chiefs, which is crazy because they only beat us by 4 points, and we had them the whole game. I'm not going to get into that, but you should take 6 points off from them because the refs kind of screwed up on a play. I'm not going to get into it. But
are you now saying that there is a cheating scandal with the Kansas City Chiefs? Or this could be breaking news because this could be the Houston Astros. Because this could be Allegheny Media, Dapper Dan into the limelight of. We just found out cheating scandal of the Super Bowl champions and stripping their crowns.
It's just common sense. If there's a fumble on the ground and you pick it up with one knee on the ground and you get touched, you're down. That's all. It's just common football.
That's PB.
If a quarterback's knees on the ground, it's common football. So, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But it's over with. But that was really some stories from Detroit, and just being around NFL players. Like I remember when we were going out for the first preseason game against the Patriots, like all the rookies were beside each other. We're like, bruh, like we're here. Like this is crazy. And I'm like, I was all smiles because Will Harris played for Boston College, which is who we played in the Quick Lane Bowl in Detroit my sophomore year. That's where I had that's where I ended up getting my 1,000-yard season was against his team. And me and him were like, yo, we played on the field last time we were against each other. Now we're teammates, man. It's crazy. And then it was just even more funnier because we trained together in Florida. And then three of my teammates, actually, we all trained together in Florida. So it was just crazy. We all ended up at the same spot. So it was just wild.
That's awesome. And I can tell you, I text you. It's funny, just our fantasy football league is a local and 12 guys. And I text Ty when he got selected in ours because Jimmy Furstenberg is one of the 12 that are in there, and Jimmy didn't get to select him. And I'm telling you, when he came up out of the seat, and I'm trying to think if it was Scott Twigg or who it was that picked you, it was just hilarious because, like, whatever round it was, and if Ray was there, Ray would know the round and the time of day that you were picked in it. But he came up out of his chair, and I thought he was going to fight because Jimmy Furstenberg was not going to have Ty Johnson on his fantasy football team for this year. And, I mean, everybody busted out laughing as soon as the pick was made. So it was just great there's a local kid that is coming up and is on the list of it. It's amazing. It's amazing.
He's on video games.
Yeah, absolutely. So now,
I played it with myself the first time. I played on Madden. It was crazy. It was just like last week. I was playing Madden 20, and I always get people sending me videos of them playing with my character and everything, and like, oh, you're fast, all this and that. And
you have a good speed rating, don't you? I think the kids told me that. I don't know. What's your speed rating?
And it was just. I think it's only like a 92, which I think is still slow. But I was playing my trainer because he stays with us and everything. I was playing my trainer. He was using who was he using? He was using I can't remember who he was using, but I substituted myself in as a starter, and then I was like. Because they had me at like third or fourth, so I was like, let me put myself in. I never played with, I've never played on Madden with my character.
Playing with four running backs again, are you?
Yeah, I did. Like, it's crazy. Every single time there's a certain situation, like I wasn't in, and I was like, oh, this is crazy. Like I put myself in manually, but my first carry was like 58-yard touchdown against them, and I was like, oh yeah, this sounds about right. It sounds about right. I like
That's normal
if it's in the game.
That's awesome. So, of the stadiums that you played in this year, is there anything that stands out that's going in? Is there anything that's like the most memorable stadium that you played in, and why that would be? I know that's kind of an off the wall question.
Personally, I mean, everyone's always like, oh, Lambeau Field, this and that. Like me, I was like, first off, it was cold. It was Monday Night Football, so I didn't care for it at all. So I was like, this sucks. Like, it sucks. It's, 30-some degrees, and I'm sitting here freezing. But it was, I think the most, just because it was so live, and it was it was just crazy, was the Minnesota Vikings, thank you. The Minnesota Vikings stadium, it was just nuts. It was lights flashing, it was going crazy, it was this and that. And I remember Marvin Jones was like, yeah, this thing's lit. And I'm like, yeah, this is crazy. And I remember they had this cannon go off, and it sounded like gunshots. Because at Maryland, how they have the cannon go off every time you score. And at Fort Hill, you have the horn and everything. Well, beginning, when they're doing this intro, it was probably the coolest intro I've ever seen for, the players to come out. Since they're in Minnesota and it's icy, they had, players breaking through ice and everything. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. This is nice. And then right as they are running out, the lights are flickering, and I heard it was like boom, 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 boom. And I thought it was gunshots. So I adjusted my head, and and Marvin Jones was like laughing at me. I'm like, yeah, that's not funny. Like, that's not cool. Like, I thought I was ready to run into the locker room, man. I was like, you don't understand how fast I would have been out of here. But I was probably the most like enjoyable one. And then, I mean, Lambeau, just because of history, I guess. But my favorite so far has been Minnesota. And then, of course, Detroit, Ford Field. I mean, that's my favorite too. So
that's cool. I mean, you get to experience it. I mean, you get to walk. I mean, we could pay to do a tour of. I got to go to Dallas on our baseball trip this year, and so I finally got to go to a stadium of a team I like. And I know everybody boos the Cowboys, but I do have Jimmy Furstenberg on my side on that. So, but to get to walk the facility, get to go down into the locker room and see the lockers. See Ezekiel Elliott's locker, Dak Prescott's, and they're labeled and stuff, and it's just neat. So it would be amazing to go in, and I know that Detroit's on our list, and so Scotty Byer, if you're out there listening, we don't want Detroit on there because I'm a Detroit Tiger fan. But if we make that tour, I mean, that would be awesome to go in the Detroit Lions and go through and then see T. Johnson, number 31. Now, if you change your number, you need to let me know so that I'm not looking at the wrong number. So, but. That's awesome. It is. It really is. But
I kind of want to go back, and when he was talking about his number, there's a hierarchy there. In NFL, it's what have you done for me lately business. It's not like I think Ty would vouch for this. There's a lot of politics at college football, but at the pro football level. You don't produce, you don't play, and
you get cut. You don't just not play. You get cut.
You get cut, and for him to be there it was almost like I was watching games. They're trying to get rid of him. They're bringing this running back in and giving the ball at the 2-yard line, letting that guy score who just came on Monday, and he has the wherewithal to do what he's doing in practice and showing them what he's all about to be able to stay on an NFL roster because they don't really care. I mean, if you're going to help them win games, you'll stay, and if you don't help them win games, you won't. And then the draft picks, they get their gear first. They get their pick of their number first. The veterans get their number first, and you get what you get. There's so many, like in Little League baseball and in middle school football or whatever it may be. Kids, they want their number, and they get their number, and if they don't get their number, their
parents
upset.
are calling.
They're upset. But at the NFL level, you get what you get, and then you should be thankful they're just on the team. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, and I think that's the way life should be. I don't think it is at times. Go ahead, buddy.
It's funny. It's funny because when I went to the University of Maryland, they asked me, "Give me 3 numbers you want." And obviously the first number I asked for was 24, and I was like, give me 26. And then I was like, Clinton Portis, number 26, let me get that. And I was like, all right. And then like 21, and he was like, all right, give me a few other ones. I was like, all right, 6, 5, 3, whatever. And it was crazy because freshmen usually don't get single-digit numbers. The only people to get single-digit numbers were DJ Moore, who was a first-round pick 2 seasons ago for the Carolina Panthers. He got number 1, and I got number 6. So it was like, they must like us because they give us like single-digit numbers, and it's crazy because I asked for 24, and they're giving me, like 6 is a sweet number. Like single-digit numbers are sweet, but for me, it was like, oh, I wanted 24, and they gave me number 6. And I was like, oh, all right, cool.
2 plus 4 is 6.
Yeah. So it was crazy how that like panned out because they had 2 DBs with 24. It was just funny how it like played out.
Yeah, because in college, the numbers roll over. So you could have an offensive player and a defensive player with the same exact number, but I guess in the NFL, you don't run out of numbers because I don't think you ever see. I guess because the roster size is so low. I don't think is that the case because you can't have 2. I don't know.
You can't have an offense number be a defense number in NFL, correct? Not like college.
You can during preseason. In preseason you can, but not during the regular season.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess because of roster sizes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because in NCAA, I mean, you could have it looks like 100 kids back there, and you eventually do run out of numbers. So you have a 24 runs out on offensive running back, and next thing you know, there's a 24 playing defensive
Yeah, I
back, and
think,
you're thinking, that can't be the same guy.
I think Alabama last year had 3 number 3s.
Really?
Yeah.
That would be unique. Now, whether one was the punter.
I'm not sure. One might have been redshirted, but I remember when they ran out in the field, I was like, "That's 3 threes."
Yeah.
Or
root for your favorite 3.
Yeah.
Or you're thinking, I need glasses, one or the other,
Yeah.
because this is not right. So, that's good stuff. There's anything else you got? I know you got a lot of stuff there, but Ty, I mean, I guess the one thing that we haven't done yet is to give you the stage here tonight. And is there anything that you want to say? Anything you want to talk about real quick? I mean, I know family. Like I said, Tracy, she was the first one. Your mom was the first one to pop up here, and if I was computer savvy, that message would have popped up right away, so it would have been in the first 30 seconds. And if you're watching this, I'm hitting buttons, and finally Ryan comes over and tell me it's down here in the lower corner. I can't hit the message up. So, but just what family, your family back home here, I mean, they're all listening, I'm sure. It looks like that we have almost 100 people listening live, and that's awesome. That it is. So. I just want to give you the stage and the light. I know you don't like the light, but it is on you because we can see you. So,
I definitely want to shout out like my mom and everything. Like, yeah, she's been rough on me and everything, but it was for the, it benefited me in the long run, and my sister for sure. Me and my sister are like this. I talk to her about anything, and really like my niece Jayla, like she's young, she doesn't really understand everything yet, but she still supports me, and those 3 right there definitely keep me grounded and keep me level-headed, because I'm my own enemy at the end of the day, because like me, I get in my head, I do this and that, but they keep me level-headed, they keep me grounded, and they keep pushing me forward, and they understand, like now, like before in like high school and college, like my mom would always be like, oh yeah, like they never understood the grind and like that I got to keep going. And now it's like the past few years, past like 2-3 years, they kind of started to like embrace that, like that's who I am, and like that's how my motor goes, and I got to keep going. But like now it's like, okay, I'm in the league now. Now my body's never been through like something like that, which is a long season, essentially 2 college seasons if you think about it. And now they understand my training. They're like, okay, well, we understand your training, but make sure you rest and you're doing this. Are you doing this? Are you doing this? Like they're making sure I'm doing the things that I tell them I got to do, So they definitely embraced everything that has come with me making it to this level, with not being able to be home as much, or coming down to Frisco, Texas, and being here for 2.5 months. Like, it's just something they understand. And like even before on my pro day, they understood that I had to go to Florida and train. Like it's just one of the things that has to happen. And they definitely they've embraced that, and I really appreciate that, because it's hard. I like being home, you know what I'm saying? And like Coach Appel says, like I like being just one of the guys when I'm home, and it's crazy because I was talking to, he has like teacher assistants and everything for his class, and we were talking, and they were like, it's crazy, we have an NFL player out in our practice. They were running sprint teams, and he's like, we have an NFL player on our field, and we just think it as like another day. And I was like, yeah, because I just like being around. You got to see me every day. It's not some, big parade or anything like that. They see me every day, and when I'm home, at least, they see me every day. And one of those things where I appreciate them just bringing me in and not treating me like some, I don't even know, just like this huge figure, because at the end of the day, like, I'm just like them. They're like me. And, they just appreciate me being there, and I appreciate them. Like some of the kids, they don't like listening when I'm telling them what to do. But that comes with the story. Yeah, that just comes with the comes with it. But I definitely appreciate, kids that do ask for my help and they listen, because I've been given a blueprint from older guys. I pieced together, like, when we had, who is it? Like, Andre Pope, he came back one day. I was in his ear, like, yeah, what do you, this, that, and that? Like, what do I got to do? A whole bunch of people, like, you can ask Coach Appel. Like, we've had a whole bunch of people that have came back at least once or, like, popped up. And I was in their ear, like, hey, like, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? And all that I just took right here. I took right here, and I just, Clay's, everyone. Jerron Watkins, me and him used to go out, catch punts and kicks, you know what I'm saying, like in the summer once. And it was just piecing, and then just taking it in my own hands with training. It's, there has to be a want to, not someone telling you what to do. It has to be a want to. And I think there's some kids that need to learn that it would be you inside that has to want to do something, not Coach Appel telling you to go run, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I asked Coach Appel once, I was like, what do I got to do to get faster, everything, this and that? And he was like, talk to Mike Page. And that's who I was with, And
good references.
Coach Page, he was like, we want to get you, And he was like, we're going to get you running, doing this and this. And he was helping us during team training, and he had me doing the wildest stuff. And I'm like, I'm tired. Like, he was like, this is going to get you right. And I was like, all right, if that's the case, then cool. And I remembered everything he taught me, and I put it on paper. And then if you can, Mr. DeVore, I actually gave it to him after I left to leave for Maryland. I had a notebook, and it was a 3-inch ring binder. It was about this thick, and it had nothing but not homemade, but personalized workouts that I made for myself that I would do. And I'd have that with me every single day after school with Richard Lloyd training. And Richard Lloyd was, not the biggest, not the fastest, but he was one of those guys that he just loved the game of football, and he loved trying to make himself better and making other people better. And I kind of get that now with Jimmy and Shad Myers and everything, because they just want to keep going, you know what I'm saying? Because not a lot of kids my age, I'm not a kid anymore, but
still,
not a lot of guys my age.
So
not a lot of guys want to go do that, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't want to show up, and if they do show up, they don't want to show up again, So it's always great to have that person in your circle. Like, if I wasn't with Richard Lloyd, I was with Mr. DeVore, you know what I'm saying, after school. And it was just one of those things where, you got to have that somebody that's willing to push you, even if they not might be as strong, as fast, or whatever. You always got to have that person. Even ask Coach Appel. He was there with Shad and I that Friday before I left, doing pull-ups and everything,
Killed me.
So it's always great. And then, like, not a lot of people, like, there's always entitlement and everything. So, like, entitlement and, that's the biggest ego, like, killer, and that's the biggest, like, killer of success and everything, thinking you deserve everything. Like, not a lot of people know all through high school, I was the number 2 haircut with the number 1 fade on the side. No one knew that from looking at me now. Like, Coach Appel can post pictures and everything of me. I could show you pictures of me with the short haircut and everything, but that came with the want to listen to discipline and authority. And it was just one of those things where I was like, okay, this is how it's going to mold me into the player I am today and how I'm going to act, because I wanted to listen. I wanted to get better. I wanted to embrace everything else. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day, is just, like I said, my family embraced what I got to do to make sure I'm still getting paid and I still make a team, because at the end of the day, when this next draft comes up, they might get another running back. They're going to bring in another running back for OTAs. Yeah. That's just the business. That's the thing about it. And like, you got to embrace it. So, like, my family embracing what I got to do. So I'm I'm outworking the guy that's in front of me or the guys that are coming in behind me. And for, like, kids, like, I'm embracing, like, discipline, and embracing, like, it's like in college we said embrace the suck, which is like everything that sucks, like, embrace the suck. That's it. And that's what it really comes down to.
Are we allowed to say that these days, buddy?
I think so, because Ryan didn't cue us off here or get a big blow up.
I'm just kidding.
That's good though.
But it's just one of those things where, like, there's a few kids at Fort Hill that I was working out, and they were embracing everything I was telling them, and those guys, even if they might not be the fastest or the strongest or whatever, like, they're going to remember that, you know what I'm saying? Well, at least I hope they do.
They will, buddy. Just like you remember everybody that invested in your life, they'll remember you.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things where when you embrace what's around you, embrace for what it is, like embracing that, I'm going to train, embracing that I'm going to have to run, embracing that, every Monday and Friday I'm doing boxing classes and my trainer, like, it's killing me, like embracing all of that. And then embracing the position you're in. Like, granted, I was in a weird position last season, but I embraced it. And by the end of the season, I had a great game, and, it was what it was. And just because you struggle in and out doesn't mean you failed or anything, really. It just means, it's preparing you to, get on to the next level and be great for real. And that's all it comes down to. Like, no matter how hard you're struggling, you're not failing. The only time you fail is when you quit, So you got to just keep moving forward. And, that's really, really it. And I definitely appreciate, you guys ringing me in and everything. And it's been a great segment, a great, live feed and everything. I've enjoyed it.
It has. It's been great. And we're going to wrap it up here now. So the opportunity tonight, and it was kind of talking to Ryan and mentioning about, doing the live feed at the Dapper Dan, but what else could we do? And he had mentioned about doing this podcast, this setting, this round table, which is, I don't know if he mentioned round, but it's not very round, but we'll have to work on the round table part of that. But just the opportunity to sit here and sit with Todd and Ray and to have Ty. I mean, it'd be great to have you here, but it's great to have you on the screen and have you and to be able to talk to you tonight. And I want to thank you for taking that time again tonight, Todd, to speak. And I know how everything is so deep inside, and when you talk, but I've always told you every year at the Dapper Dan dinner, and you've had, I think, the Golden Helmet Coach of the Year award probably given to you 80 times. And I know that you've only coached probably 10 years, but it seems like that you've been given it that, because it just seems like that you're on a level. And when you speak, and I know that you yell at me afterwards and say, I know I talked too long and I got emotional. And I said, but again, and I speak up from the heart, I love listening to what you had to say every time, because what you said out to that audience is what you preach to your players each and time in and time out, and it reflects to the guy at the back of the screen or on our screen sitting in Texas to thank you and everything that you've meant to him. And it's been like that for everybody. And I'm not a Fort Hill Sentinel, because we laughed about that the other day. You give me the GBR, which I thought was Go Big Red, and I don't have a Go Lady Campers reply to that because my daughter's at Allegheny, but it's a great honor. We're a family. We're a family because of the Dapper Dan. I mean, that's how we got to know each other. Ray, it's been a long time friendship with you. Back when I started being a commissioner and getting my feet wet and getting yelled at, and we've had, just like a family does. You have good times, you have bad times, and you get through it, and you stay bonded, and that's a tribute to everybody here. And Ty, I thank you for staying in communication with me, because of the three of us here, that me the least by far. But it's like talking to you, that we talk like a family, and that's great. And to your mom, Tracy, she's out there. I do thank her, and she's a great inspiration. So we look forward to Sunday night at the Dapper Dan dinner. We're going to try to push through. We're going to try to figure out the way to get you on our TV Scream Live to accept the award, and it's going to be great. So, again, thanking Todd Appel from Fort Hill High School and Todd Appel, the person, Ray Haines from Dapper Dan Little League's Cardinals, and Dapper Dan, and Ray Haines, the person, and Ty Johnson for just being Ty. So, again, thank you, Ryan Brenneman and Allegheny Media. So I don't know what else, because Ty Johnson, the running back, Ty Johnson, but Ty Johnson, our family,
Yeah,
Cumberland's family. So he's a part of us. So
I said that because that's what I text him. Keep being Ty, no matter what.
That's right. Keep being Ty. Yeah. So again, Ryan Brenneman, thank you very much for setting this up tonight. Hopefully you didn't take too long on your time tonight, but thank you for that time. So with that, we'll say, Ty, thanks again for everything. And again, you guys, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks. It's great seeing your face again, and I look forward to it. Like
yes,
early
sir.
April.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
So I hope to see it in 2 nights, getting that award. And so work on that speech for the 4-time Dapper Dan Award winner. So thanks again. So on behalf of the Dapper Dan Club of Allegheny County, I thank everyone and thank Allegheny Media. So thank you very much.
See you, buddy.
See you.
Thank you.